Every year we mark the Remembrance weekend in our own commemoration with the laying of wreaths on our memorial tablets. Today we commemorate those Tiffin pupils who died and remember all those who suffer and die as a result of conflict. It is worthwhile considering why we have these memorials. It was decided during World War I that the soldiers who died should be buried where they fell. The bodies were not repatriated for burial. Indeed, many bodies were in any case never recovered, and therefore the soldier has no known grave. Back in Britain, parents and loved ones of the dead had no grave to visit or funeral to attend. So after the war, memorials were put up in towns and villages, churches and schools where the names could be remembered. The Tiffin Memorial was put up in 1919 and initially listed 117 names of Tiffinians known to have died. Since then, more ex-pupils' names have been discovered and a further 11 names have been added. There are a further 115 names of those who died in World War II. Many of these students who died in the wars were barely any older than the students in our sixth form. Each year we specifically pick out and remember an individual name from each of the two war memorials. These names are engraved on the tablets. This year, from the First World War, remember Arthur Charles Bennett. He was born in Camberwell in south-east London on the 3rd of May 1899 and was the fourth child of commercial clerk Sidney Bennett and his wife Sarah. Shortly after his birth, the family moved to Raynes Park, where his father was employed as a hardware manager. Arthur first attended a local school in Raynes Park before arriving at Tiffin, then situated on the Fairfield, in September 1912, where he was known as Charlie. By that time, the family was living in Kingston Road, Merton Park, and his journey to school was by tram from Wimbledon to London Road in Kingston. At school he did not take the school certificate, but it was noted he was good at mathematics. He left Tiffin in July 1914, aged 15, and became an audit clerk. He worked in several establishments in the Kingston area before working as an audit clerk at the rapidly expanding Sopwith Aircraft Factory in Canbury Park Road, round the corner from the present Tiffin School. The remains of the factories can still be seen today. By 1917, Charlie had reached enlistment age, and in March of that year wrote to the commanding officer of the Royal Flying Corps to ask about becoming a pilot. It is likely, but not confirmed, that he was given support from the Sopwith management. Shortly after his birthday in 1917, he was accepted for training in the RFC on Salisbury Plain. While still in training, he was given a temporary commission as a second lieutenant on the 1st of August 1917. His commissioned officer's sword was apparently presented to him by the Sopwith Company. He completed his flying training in late August. It is likely that Charlie was sent to France in the autumn of 1917, but the official records are missing. By early 1918, now promoted to lieutenant, he was sent to Egypt to join 142 Squadron, based at RFC Ismailia along the Suez Canal. Here the British Army was involved in a campaign against the Ottoman Turks, who were fighting with Germany. The squadron flew a mixed bag of second-rate reconnaissance aircraft, which was suitable for observation and light bombing missions, but was certainly not fighter aircraft. No records survive of what actual type of aircraft he was flying. By the 1st of April 1918, when the RFC became the RAF, the squadron had been moved to a new frontline base on the Gaza Plain in what is now Israel, and was being used in support of General Allenby's drive towards Jerusalem. During the Battle of Megiddo, northwest of Jerusalem, on the 17th September 1918, Charlie's plane, which was probably being used in reconnaissance, was hit by Turkish ground fire. Although wounded, he managed to land his plane, but died of his wounds on the 23rd of September, 6 weeks before the end of the war, aged just 19. He was buried in the Jerusalem War Cemetery, and besides being commemorated in the school hall, is also remembered on a plaque in Raynes Park Methodist Church. From World War II, we remember John Curtis Jackson. John was born in December 1922. He lived in New Malden and first went to Christ Church Junior School. He joined Tiffin in September 1933, having been given a special place scholarship, having already displayed a sound academic ability.
The school magazine describes him as having a brilliant career at school, being a first-rate scholar and sportsman. In his last year at school, he was captain of Livingston House, being a member of the house soccer, cricket, swimming and chess teams. He was also house captain of rugby and shooting and obtained school colours for rugby, swimming and water polo. He also played for the school at soccer and was in the school shooting team. John was a school scout between 1934 and 38 and joined the cadet band, becoming a sergeant in 1940. He also joined the newly formed Air Defence Cadet Corps when the first unit to be formed in Kingston was established at the school in 1938. In the ADCC, he gained an international gliding certificate as well as a St John ambulance certificate. He was a prefect and deputy head boy in 1940. As a senior prefect in the cadets, not only would John have experienced in 1940 going down the shelters along the gym path during the Blitz, but he would have taken his turn during air raids doing firewatch duties on the roof of Elmfield. At the time, there were large anti-aircraft guns sited on the school field to protect the Canberra aircraft factories. The bases and wiring for the guns were removed when we put in the Muga in 2011, and the last remains of the Jim Path air raid shelters were removed when we built the sports hall extension 2 years ago. Besides all the extracurricular activities, his academic achievements were very notable. He gained a school certificate of matriculation in 1938 and the higher school certificate in 1940. The latter qualification in a broad range of subjects with distinctions in maths and physics meant that he was awarded an intermediate Bachelor of Science. He was clearly marked out for a brilliant academic career. Having left Tiffin in December 1940, aged 18, he went straight into the Royal Engineers under the Special Entry Scheme. He was sent as a cadet officer to Jesus College, Cambridge, on an intensive course of constructional engineering. Whilst at Cambridge, he managed to find time to row for Jesus College and was also a member of the local Home Guard. On completing this course, he was offered a place to complete his degree after the war was over. Having left Cambridge, he went to an officer corps training unit, becoming a lieutenant before the age of 20. His later training included work on the Bailey Bridges, which were temporary bridges, at a base in Christchurch, Hampshire. In November 1942, he was part of the Anglo-American invasion of North Africa, led by American General Dwight D. Eisenhower, fighting against Germany and her Italian allies. Having landed in Algeria, his unit, 256 Field Company Royal Engineers, spent a bitterly cold winter in the mountains of western Tunisia. The Field Company was employed in improving the roads and the use of Bailey bridges. In the spring of 1943, his unit was clearing landmines from abandoned Italian defences prior to the major assault upon Tunis, when he was killed in action. John Curtis Jackson was just 20 years of age when he died. He is buried in the CWGC cemetery at Oud Saga in western Tunisia and remembered on our war memorial. On the news of his death, his mother wrote a poignant letter to the head, Mr. Dean, with words that are still relevant today. School to him was only second to his home, and we appreciate the happy atmosphere which always seemed to be Tiffin's. It must be a great sorrow to you and the teachers that so many of the boys are in this ghastly war, and our hope is that the young ones will be urged to take sufficient interest in seeing that their sons and daughters are not so called upon. No better epitaph to the impact of war could be expressed. Our head prefects, Maithri Nori and Will Tillotson, will now lay wreaths on our memorials.
Please stand for the last post, which will be followed by 2 minutes silence.
They shall not grow old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn.
At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.